Today is officially the first day of the 2025 hurricane season. I've got some stats here I've been looking at. Thinking back to going through Hurricane Helene here in Western North Carolina just 8 months ago, and looking at some of the details I'm seeing for this year, definitely has me asking some really big questions. So as I'm looking through some of this stuff, and of course we have the official first day of hurricane season. We've already seen what we've seen with even the tornado just hitting in Tennessee here the other day. And there is so much to cover here. And it really is at the heart, I know for me, of why we're doing everything that we're doing here on this channel. For us, it stems back to last year with Hurricane Helene. We live in the mountains of Western North Carolina. Hurricanes, tropical storms even don't wipe out mountainsides. It's funny, as I was collecting data for this video, I even come apart this line I see here in a news article. And yes, the surprise to every one of us here in the Asheville area when that happened. This isn't how this has ever worked. What is going on with the weather? And I'm sorry, call me a conspiracy theorist or whatever you want to say, but not that I think we need to be wrapped up in this to the point that we are, it controls us. Nothing that I say here is meant to spark fear. It is to encourage you and show you the seriousness of preparation. And we're going to talk all about this, but when we see these things that are coming out, I mean, I think anybody who is following even slightly at the truth bombs coming out of this Diddy trial that's going on, it is like conspiracy theory left and right is being confirmed by those that are there, that have gone through these things. And so if all of that stuff is true when it comes to Holly Weird and our creepo politicians and everybody who's in charge, right? That stuff's coming out left and right now. Imagine if we took that same level of whistleblowing on other things that are being manufactured and weaponized and just transformed in the world around us with an attempt to control. Look at these stats. In 2024, I didn't even go, we're just touching on last year and the start of this year. 2024, there were over 1 million reported injuries worldwide due to severe weather. Over 1 million injuries, and those are just reported. And that is just severe weather. In America alone, there were over $27 billion of damages done by severe weather. And trust me, I understand that because we're here still trying to repair and rebuild from Hurricane Helene. We found out today they're going around, they're testing the water places and everything around us, and you would be amazed at how much bacteria and disease is still floating all over the place out here. Because we see that Hurricane Helene that happened last year was the deadliest Atlantic hurricane since 2017. This year already in 2025, we already see 68 reported worldwide deaths. And this part blew me away the most because 62 of them are in the US. Now I know I'm sure there's a lot to this, right? What gets reported, what doesn't get reported. Living here, seeing it firsthand, I can promise you that the numbers they've reported about Hurricane Helene deaths are not correct. I can promise you that. But let's just take it at face value. I think the point still stands. Of 68 reported deaths in the world this year due to severe weather alone, 62 of those are right here in the US. Those odds not a little nerve-wracking, right? Kind of grab your attention. Tornado season this year has already been above average, and they're noticing that it is shifting east. All of us on the East Coast, right? When we moved out here, we always used to say, it's crazy because we're too far west for hurricanes to do anything to us and too far east to really worry about tornadoes. And well, we had Hurricane Helene, deadliest hurricane since 2017 coming out of the Atlantic. We had that last year, and now there's already been a tornado just down the road, not too far in Tennessee. They are predicting Okay, all the National Weather Association, right? They are predicting this year, 2025, hurricane season that begins today. They are predicting it to be 60% above normal. Let that just sink in for a minute. These are just run-of-the-mill statistics. I read an article the other day showing that there were some odd markers that they noticed before hurricane season last year, which led to, obviously, Hurricane Helene. And those same types of odd markers are present this year. Something is going on with the weather. And leave me a comment, let me know. Because I think that some of the greatest power we have today is learning from one another, is having real conversations, hearing from others, being able to discern and decipher and to look at these things, not through the lens of what we're told, but with the lens of what we're all observing and seeing. I have noticed here in North Carolina for the past little bit that weird weather things just keep happening. And we've talked about it before. And I know that some people get really bothered by it because they're like, oh, you're just caught up in all this conspiracy theory. And then other people are like, what is wrong with you? It's all conspiracy theory. And I think the truth is solidly in the center. There is a lot being done, I think, purposefully. There's a lot being done that's just the result of our actions. And at the end of it all, it's exactly as God told us it would be in His Word. When we know we're getting closer and closer day by day to His return. That's just the truth. I mean, that's just the basis of what it is. But until that day comes, that I am reunited with the Lord, which every day I say, Lord, Maranatha, like I cannot wait for that day. And I want to live my life to the fullest, making the most out of each and every day until you call me home. What do we do in the meantime? What exactly is going on? Because when you look at this and you see that there have been 68 reported deaths this year in the entirety of the world, and 62 of them are right here in our own backyards, it starts to feel a little like this whole idea of weaponized weather when we can look at things like food and see that American companies fill American food full of so many chemicals that are known to cause serious issue. Neurological issues, things with allergies, things with just all of the sugars and the ways that we know are going to affect and cause, weight gain and cancers and sickness and lifelong issues. Right? We know that. You look at anything. You can look at the ingredients in American cereal and then compare that to ingredients in the same company that makes the same cereal, but for Europe, and they're night and day difference. So we can see that America has already been weaponizing food. Absolutely, 1,000%. If you don't think so, let me know, because we could have a lot of conversations on that. American companies are weaponizing American food. Is it really so far of a stretch to say, what are they doing with the weather? I think part of it is a natural ebb and flow. I think part of it is the result of pollution and deforestation and just so many things that we have done. But I was doing some research and I was pulling together some things because I'm looking at this. We saw the Tennessee thing that just happened. I've heard different things about Hurricane Helene. We're still dealing with the aftermath of so many things. And then I'm reading some of these articles and they're talking about very stern warnings of what we can most likely expect this year. And it's a little worrisome. Not gonna lie. It really is. I don't think there's any way around the fact that something is going on with our weather. Stuff is happening out there and it's changing. And if you want to say that you believe it is more just natural and weather is very cyclical. If you look for thousands of years of all recorded history that we have, you see cycles in it. That is true 1,000%. But then you see so many odd things happening that you go, I don't think that is solely creation going through a cycle. That's being impacted. We see proof of weather manipulation. They admit they're manipulating it. And again, if we see the things that we're seeing coming out of Hollywood right now and how much truth is coming out of known conspiracies, that are actually all true. I don't think it's a far stretch to say that there's probably more behind the weather manipulation than we've believed. But I think we do ourselves a disservice when we stop there. I can sit here, I can look at these stats, I can run over these different predictions. 60% more than what was predicted last year. That makes me pay attention real quick. My husband and I read that and we said, I can't even imagine if North Carolina out here, Asheville area, even now, 8 going into 9 months later, even now, if we got hit later this summer, right? If we got hit with even a fraction of what Helene was, I don't think many of us could stay. There have already been so many that have had to leave. Obviously, so many lives that were lost, so many that have had to leave, so many that are trying desperately to cling on and rebuild. I mean, multi-generational farms and just family businesses and so much. There's so much that if a fraction of that happened again this year, I don't know how many could stay. What are we going to do when whole, broad areas are getting taken out? We could be seeing severe weather hitting in Florida, down in the Keys, within the next 2 weeks. In the predictions that I was reading about, that they're already kind of looking at what's coming and kind of tracking where they think it'll be. This could all start happening within the next 2 weeks, friends. We've already had deadly tornadoes. We've already had tornadoes happening in places where they normally don't and doing far more damage than ever expected. Again, I'm not saying this to strike fear and panic in you. I'm saying this to show the severity and the importance of what it is that we are doing today. Because I know for me, my husband is a huge weather buff, right? We always watch these things, look, and I go, yeah, I know, and I felt like I was doing pretty good. I was doing the status quo. I felt pretty competent. Maybe, of course, not for some massive extreme situation, but we live somewhere where massive extreme situations don't happen. Joke's on me. Learn from those of us who went through the absolutely unexpected. All of this shows us that if over the next few months, they are calling for a 60% uptick, right? We're looking to be 60% above normal this hurricane season. Friends, I think we all need to start getting a little more prepared, don't you? And that's what we have been talking around here near solidly. How do we live life well today in everything that's going on in the landscape of 2025 with wisdom and peace, as we know that God has called us to live in? To be wise stewards, to take the information and knowledge that we have available to us and use it accordingly. I trust that the Lord is my provider, and I know that He is going to bring me through everything He has set out in His will. Amen. And I also know that He gave me a brain and He's given me resources, be it not many. I have resources, you have resources, right? We all have whatever we have. And we are called to be wise stewards of it. I'm building up a prepared pantry. We are getting ready to build our own cottage, totally off-grid and out of, honestly, trash pallets that we've been able to collect. Because we realized last year, when everything went out, that we relied too heavily on the systems. It is such a shock to our families when everything we're used to is gone. How do we survive, let alone begin to thrive, when the systems go out? When we can't afford the things like we once used to? When severe weather causes massive upsets and the systems don't just bounce right back? This is why we've been sharing little steps, trying to be as raw and transparent as we possibly can because of this stuff. Things keep happening. The frequency and intensity of these things only keep just blooming. It's like every time you turn around out here, it's like we just had a week of rain. It just rained and rained and rained and rained and rained, which is crazy because we spent the beginning of this year having wildfire after wildfire after wildfire. So now we've got all of this rain. Our ground is already very saturated. We get like one day of sun and the grass is this tall. It's just shooting up everywhere. I feel like the frequency and intensity of these things has kind of been like this. It's like it's just been raining and raining and raining, and then it pauses for a second and everything is just blowing up everywhere. Do you not notice things going on with the weather in your area? We look at the drought that they've been seeing out west for so long now. We look at the fires. I'm from Southern California. Trust me, I'm no stranger to serious, serious fires. And we look at what's going on now. It's terrifying. These tornadoes, these hurricanes. We had an earthquake out here. What was that, a few weeks ago? I mean, it was so weird and not the norm. Creation is groaning. Stuff is only getting weirder. I am certain that many things are going on behind the scenes that you and I can only imagine how much worse it could get. But I'm not going to live in fear of that because I can't control that. I can't do anything about that. What I can do is I can use the wisdom and resources that the Lord has entrusted to me and become a little more prepared each and every day, a little more intentional and diligent with how I'm spending my time. I can work to not rely on the systems of this world so drastically, and instead learn how to work with my own hands, live a quiet and simple life, not depend on all of that. And by my example, show others that the peace that I have when this is what's going on, it comes because I know that the Lord is in control. And he promised that it's going to get worse before it gets better. And so all of these things should be massive alarm bells ringing in all of our heads going, I really need to start taking some of this seriously. I don't want to be the foolish bridesmaids when the bridegroom appears that don't even have oil in their lamps. I want my lamp to be full and burning bright. I don't want to be in a situation like I was last year with Helen where we were stranded. We couldn't get anywhere. Nothing could get in. We couldn't get anything. There's no water. There's no food. There's no power. There's no nothing. Stores went empty in an instant. Prices on everything skyrocketed. There was so much that happened so quickly. I don't want to be in that spot again. I want to be a little more diligent and intentional now to store up some extra food, some extra resources, to start switching to some more self-sustainable options that will work with or without this world's systems. And I honestly do believe, especially with these stats, like 62 of the 68 reported deaths in the world this year from severe weather happening right here in America. Like an expected 60% above normal hurricane season. Like the fact that tornadoes so far this year have been above average and shifting closer to the East Coast for many of us who maybe aren't used to dealing with serious tornado threat, who now need to realize that's a reality. So much is happening so quickly. And again, I'm not scared of it because it's just as scripture foretold. But while I may not be living in fear, I certainly need to be getting prepared. And so this is that cry. This is that it came out here and I wanted to pop on with you all and say, guys, how do we not start taking this seriously? Something is going on with the weather. And again, share with me. I mean, we can have great discussion about what all we think it is. I think it's C, all of the above, to be honest. But regardless of what exactly it is and what exactly it's going to do, what are we going to do to get through it? How are we going to survive not only this insane uptick of severe weather, cost of living crisis, cost of housing, inflation, tariffs, World War III uncertainty. I mean, everywhere you look, there's so much happening. I want to start being a wise steward and preparing, knowing that the Lord will be my strength and guidance through it all. And I want to work unto him to the best of my ability to be a faithful servant who can provide for my family, my community, and encourage a friend. So if that's the type of stuff you want more of, I invite you, subscribe, stick around. if you found help out of this, even just to, maybe these aren't things you realize. Maybe, I just started looking up stats, and the more I kept looking up, I had one thought, and then like the more I kept looking up, the more I kept finding, and the more it was like, okay, we're having a conversation about this because this is too much. Share this with a friend, because I think we would all be wise to at least understand where we're at. I'm not saying you have to go get lost in a rabbit hole somewhere if you want to knock yourself out, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying just looking at some cold hard facts here, it kind of gets your attention. Hurricane season begins today. If Western North Carolina gets a fraction of what we got with Hurricane Helene, it's gonna be big. It's gonna be something. I don't know who's doing what exactly. I don't know what exactly is going on, but something is changing, something is happening. And while I can't control that, I can control me. And I want to be prepared. I want to do the best to serve my family, my community, myself, and taking the wisdom from all of this and putting it into action. And that's what we're going to keep talking about. It's what we're going to keep sharing, because these numbers, they tell it for what it is. And I am praying for you and your family as you go through and you do the same. Because I know I don't wish upon anyone what happened to us here last year with Helene. Even still, going around and seeing our communities like the way they are now, it's heavy. And it's not that Hurricane Helene was the worst natural disaster to ever happen in the history of America, let alone the world. But these things are only increasing. And I don't think they're going away anytime soon, regardless of who's pulling the strings behind the curtain. So I hope that this could be I'm sorry to be the downer over here, but I hope that this could be a true wake-up call, a true plea, that it spoke to you here today, and not in a way to cause fear and panic and just you want to go hole up in a ball and not move, but in that fire that gets lit within you to say, these things are reality. How do I, as a wise steward, move forward? Because that's what I'm going to be doing. And I'm going to share it all with you, as our family is quite literally going through it as well. So again, subscribe if you like this video and send it to a friend that it can help. I appreciate that so much. That helps the YouTube powers kind of send this out and share it with others. These are big messages, and I think we need to say it not from a like sensational trying to scare everybody, but from a hello, this is actually happening. Let's get for real about this and make sure that we can take care of ourselves and take care of one another, because that's what matters the most at the end. It's the people. Now, we've had more conversations along these lines, and I'll go ahead and leave you this playlist right up here. If you want to go and check those out, head over to the channel. We've got a lot of different resources and things that I have been compiling like crazy, especially since Hurricane Helene last year. Those are all listed over there. Again, just send this over to a friend that needs some encouragement and maybe even a little kick in the pants to be like, you know what, you're right. Maybe we should look into this and start taking it a little more seriously. I'll see you all over in those next videos. We've got a lot coming out this week. I'm pretty excited to start putting these things into action. Praying for every single one of us as we go through whatever it is this year's bringing. Bye, friends.